Mics are on.
Everybody turn the mics on.
Yeah, right. Okay.
Call the meeting order and mute your phones, please. Good afternoon. We call our town council September 10th meeting to order. I need a motion to adopt the agenda.
Motion.
I was gonna say a motion with an amendment if possible.
What's the amendment?
Can we add an item 7.4 to new business to discuss pavement of Beach Mountain Parkway from the town limits to the project plan by Eagles Nest?
We can, but I was gonna bring it up in closing comments and have a discussion on it.
I think it'd be better to be in new business.
Whatever you guys want to do. So Sanford is making a motion to add item 7.4, paving the balance of Beach Mountain Parkway. Any discussion? Second, vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. So we're gonna make an amendment and add that item 7.4.
Perfect.
All right? Anything else?
No, not this time.
All right. What? We're in a code tie today. You're speaking up.
A lot of time in bed for a week.
Cyclone?
Yes, sir. Afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon.
Our scripture for today is from Ephesians. It says, therefore put on the full armor of God, so that when the day of evil comes to attack you, you may be able to stand your ground, and after you have done everything you can, to still continue standing. As you know, tomorrow is the anniversary of 9/11. I found something too I didn't really know. Let's see, next Friday, the 20th, is a special recognition day for MIA POWs. We had a lady who spoke to us at Bible study for kids and women a couple of months ago, and she was part of this organization that tries to help recover remains with them. Because her father had been shot down. He was a pilot in Vietnam, shot down. And she was born while he was over. He never got to see his daughter or anything. So this was something real special with her, with this. And she told us, and I found out this was true when doing research, there's still over 80,000 MIAs unaccounted for, going back to World War II, Korea, Vietnam. Over 80,000. And they claim that with modern technology, that they think they can recover over half of these now, which they're working on. I'd like to share a little story about one particular project of this. This one, in April 1944, a flight group of about 200 B-24 Liberators had been bombing Germany. They were coming back, and the anti-aircraft fighters and all, they lost 31 of the bombers on the way back at the same time. So they had pretty well located where this one site was, and at the end of the war, they were going to try to go in and dig up and get what remains of all fragments of good. But when the war was over, they couldn't get in because it had crashed in the part that was then East Germany that the Russians controlled, and they weren't allowed to do it. So when Germany became unified then, well, they gave them permission, and with modern technology, now they zeroed in right where it was, they found the wreckage, and they're in the process now of excavating, trying to get it up, and they said they've gotten down to about probably 5 feet. It's just a big hole, and they found fragments of bones, buttons, coins, ammunition, wristwatches, dog tags, and all that. But they said the main part of the plane will be probably 15 to 20 feet down to such an impact when it hit. But this is just one of the many things that's going on now. When they bring this up, it's kind of like panning for gold. You got the screen like that, you put the wads of dirt on it, wash it off, and then there'll be some of these artifacts left, or maybe some bone crusher. But this is going on there, and they ship the artifacts that they find back to Air Force Base in Nebraska. And that's where they have the sonic experts and all to check it over. The example of this personal thing, we had a civil war in our community in Mississippi back when he graduated from high school. He joined the Army, and he was a tail gunner on one of these planes that went down. And he just turned 18 years old, and they shot down, he crashed in, of course, Belgium. And they think that some of the civilians came in and gave these crew members a Christian burial there. And then when the war was over, supposedly, they moved his body to Normandy, the American cemetery there where the D-Day beaches. A little later, the family decided they wanted it at home, so they brought it back to our little cemetery there, our little churchyard. And then sometime later on, some of the family had some connections, and so they moved it to Arlington National Cemetery. Now, I couldn't tell you if this boy is the same boy. He may not be in any of those graves, it has been. But since then, what I'm getting at is they have such modern means of identifying all this. And one of the most touching things I came across here is the missing man's table they have. They'll have a lot of military functions, and they will have a table set with settings for one person. They'll have a chair pulled out to the side. They'll have on the table a white tablecloth, a single candle, a book of faith, be the Bible, prayer book, and inverted glass, and a single red rose in a vase around which is tied a yellow ribbon. And then, of course, they have corporate ceremonies with it. It's kind of makes you feel good to see that our government still is trying to get these people home. Right? Would you bow your heads, please? Lord, may the time come when all these soldiers are brought home, and grant us peace that we will no longer need this government agenda. And Lord, we thank you for all the blessings. Praise you. Bless the United States of America and Beach Mountain. Amen.
Thank you, Cyclone.
Thank you.
Pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. When we open, I wanted to thank everyone for coming today. And we have two guests. One's Nathan Miller. Nathan is an attorney in Boone. He's representing Beach Mountain in a closed session issue. And it's always nice to have our Vice Mayor, Jimmy Accardi, attend our meetings and stay involved in our community. So thank you, Jimmy. Public comment. This is a time for the public to address their elected officials on issues not on the agenda. The town council is interested in hearing your concerns. However, speakers should not expect council action or deliberation on items brought forth during the public comment period. So we have Fred Fold that would like to speak.
Hello, I'm Fred Fold, 501 Beach Mountain Park. I know usually when people come for their 3-minute talk, they have an issue or they have something that they want to discuss with each one of you all. But I was riding up the mountain this beautiful day, and it dawned on me how lucky I was to live on Beach Mountain, especially on a day like today. But it also dawned on me that we're here and we're taken care of by so many people. And I want to start by thanking each one of you all for giving your time. And I want to thank Bob Pudney for keeping us straight. And although it's kind of a long road and it's hard because we all zigzag a lot, but thanks to him. But I wanted to, I can't thank everybody that I should, but for instance, Matt Stokes, that's weed eats night and day and mows grass in the middle of the rain and keeps our mountain looking so nice. I thought about that on my ride up the hill. But I think about the volunteer firemen that put on their long johns in the middle of a winter night and rush out, and they don't get paid for it. They do it because they love it and they want to help. And there's so many people on this mountain that serve. Thank goodness for Cyclone and his words of inspiration once a month, and thank goodness for Dr. Murray Miller and all he's done to kind of keep us in medical situations faced in the right direction. But there's so many people on the mountain that do things, and I just want to thank everybody publicly for making my hometown the best place in the world to live, and I wouldn't want to live anywhere else. I remember at one time when I first started working on Beech Mountain, it was January 1st, 1970, and I noticed that everybody used to kind of wave as you passed them on the road. There was a man in Banner Elk, and his name was Von Cannon, Charles Von Cannon, and he used to wave at everybody. He drove a Carmen Ghia, and you couldn't help but see. Well, I was riding to work. I worked at the ski slope, and one guy in the car knew. He said, "Oh, that's old Charlie Von Cannon." I said, "He's running for mayor next time. He's just trying to get votes." Well, after he got votes and was elected, he still waved at everybody. And to this day, I think about whether it was Junior Gillum that used to drive his truck up the mountain hauling and would wave at you, or whether it was policemen. Today, I was just about in front of White Wolf Lodge, and I saw a police car over there, and the window was rolled down, and I stuck my hand out, and he stuck his out, and he said, "Hello, Fred." And I thought about two things. First of all, he was paying attention to who was driving the car, and secondly, he knew my name, and I was grateful. So my hat's off to everybody that gives their time and effort to Beech Mountain to make it the best place it is, and I hope all of us will keep waving at each other so that someday somebody will say Beech Mountain's the friendliest mountaintop town anywhere around. So thank you kindly for letting me say that. And then I want to plug the Covered Dish Supper on Thursday, September 22nd at the Rec Center. The Rec Center's helping put it on, and there's going to be chicken provided and asking people to bring a covered dish. And, you know, one time we were kind of considered the covered dish capital of the world. We had so many of them around, and I kind of got away from that. But this is an opportunity for us to meet each other, our new neighbors, and everything else. So please come out Thursday, the 26th, 5:30. Thank you. Amen.
Thank you.
Thank you, Fred.
Could you add me to public comment?
I'm sorry?
Could you add me to public comment?
Will I? Sure.
Okay, because this agenda item, Ernst Steiger, 124 Raven Road. I noticed that Michael just added an agenda item, which to me is a little bit, while it's allowed, it's an underhanded way to do things. When the town paves most roads, it's because residents want roads paved. I would venture to say that nobody who lives on or near Beech Mountain Parkway wants that road paved. Right now, we have a terrific problem. I live 2 roads above it. We already have a significant speeding problem on that road. The speed limit's 15 miles an hour. I bet you go down there right now and watch Robbie's trucks coming. They're doing 20 to 30 miles an hour. Watch the people coming from Eagles Nest. They're doing the same. Nobody wants that road paved who lives on the road. I would ask before you make any decisions to pave that road, that you open it up for public comment and allow people who live on or near that road to express their feelings about paving. Thank you.
Yeah, so, sure. But let's sign up for it prior, if you can.
I want to talk about the road also. I live,
If you'll state your name, please.
Bill Tyndall,
How you spell your last name, please?
Tyndal.
Okay.
I live on Beech Mountain Parkway. Built a house there 2 years ago. And while they were building my house, I noticed, because it was gravel, I noticed the amount of dust that flows continually on those homes and people who live in those homes. So I went up to city to ask about when that road might be paved. They said, well, it's not on our agenda right now. So well, how could I pave my part of it? They told me what I needed to do, and it worked out just right, and I paved 600 feet of that road. In deference to what you said, living there, if you don't live there, you can't appreciate the amount of dust that those trucks and those fast cars make. And what we need is to have the law enforced. It's 15 miles an hour. There are ways to do that, with speed bumps and with police to make sure that that speed limit is obeyed. Many of the people who are my friends and I talk to regularly are in favor of paving that road.
They are or not?
They are definitely in
Yes, sir.
favor of paving that road. And I'm in favor of paving the remainder of that road. So, like it or not, Eagles Nest is a partner on this mountain. There's a lot of money that's being spent from Eagles Nest here in Beech Mountain. And if we would open that up and do it right with enforcing the speed limit, policing, putting speed bumps in, it would be a great benefit to everybody who lives on that road in this community. And that's what I have to say.
All right, thank you for your comments, and we'll go with the new business, item 7.4 Parkway. We will go into.
We have one more.
Yes, sir. We'll go into additional detail. Would you like to speak? Okay. Great. All right. Anyone else? I need a motion to adopt the consent agenda.
Motion?
Second. Any discussion?
I have a question.
Okay.
Do I need to pull an item to be able to ask questions on it, or can I just go ahead and ask a question on 6.5?
So typically on the consent agenda, if there's an item that needs discussion or needs further debate, it can be removed from the consent agenda item and be considered as new business. So certainly we operate under informal rules of, and the mayor can make the determination that you can discuss an item, but you may want to pull an item from the consent agenda and approve the other items if there's a matter for discussion. If it's just a question, certainly you can proceed.
Well, it's a question. We already voted on this. Last meeting, we voted on user fee, the whole user fee. It's exactly the same. We actually did vote on it as part of the budget process, so I don't really think we need to take a vote on it again.
Councilmember, I agree. However, our auditor could not find sufficient evidence in the budget process that the fee schedule was adopted outside the budget. So in difference to extreme caution and to make the auditor happy, I put it back on the agenda.
Okay, thank
It's
you.
a belt and suspenders kind of thing. Keeps us from being challenged in the future.
So
It's clearly in the minutes from the June 13th meeting. That's why I'm asking.
I agree with you. I agree, and I argued that. However, I felt it prudent to put it on the agenda under consent so that the auditor doesn't write me a letter at the end of the process and I have to explain it to you.
Proceed.
So it was the attorney, not the mayor, that maybe made that mistake? Okay. Does that suffice?
That does, and then just one quick question on 6.3. Are we missing an item from 6.3? Because I have a cover sheet, but no, pardon me, 6.2, my bad. Partial closeout of capital project.
On the Pinnacle Well, this is simply, you've got the memo.
I've got the council action item.
Right, that is the document. What we're asking to do is to close out that portion of that capital improvement project included the well and other capital improvements. We want to close out the well so that we can close the books on that. The remaining projects remain open.
I just wanted to make sure there wasn't supposed to be a resolution attached to that.
No, it's simply a signature by me and the clerk so that we can put it in the records for the budget.
Good deal. Thank you, sir.
All right, time for a vote. If there aren't any other questions, all in favor of adopting the consent agenda? Say aye. Aye. Same sign, opposed? Passes. Okay, new business. I need a motion to adopt item 7.1, which is statewide mutual aid agreement.
Motion to accept.
Second. Discussion.
Do we need to identify a third, like such as the assistant fire chief, since the town manager and the fire chief are one person, just to give you depth?
Well, certainly you can. I think those three positions, regardless of the individual, the mutual aid agreement lists initially people's names, but then who succeeds them in the future so that we don't have to change names. I think those three positions of the fire chief, the police chief, and the town manager should be carried forward in the agreement until it's reviewed again. If you'd like me to put in the assistant fire chief, I can. The only concern I have then is when one of the three are no longer in that position, that assistant fire chief position carries with the agreement unless we amend it.
I'm just asking you from that standpoint of, right now, it's just your two positions, right?
Right.
And if you happen to be out of town and the police chief happen to be out of town, Riley's gonna be here.
Well, those are the only three who can implement it. Those are the three who are designated as the town representatives in mutual aid events. We can do it anyway. My recommendation was make it those three positions. Those are the emergency leaders of our town. One of them should be available. Yes, I hold two hats right now. That won't continue, but the positions will. But however you'd like it.
As long as you're comfortable, that's the reason I asked the
To
question.
implement this does not require a signature, so unless they're both on a cruise ship or somehow out of cell phone range, they could still act even if they're not physically present in town, if that's helpful.
We took a vote on that, didn't we?
You've got two motions.
Yeah.
You've got to vote.
I need to vote. All in favor of adopting item 7.1, say aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. 7.1 passes. I need a motion to adopt item 7.2, which is call for a public hearing on kitchens and guest suites amendments.
Motion.
Second.
And Chief, will you briefly discuss this, please?
Yes. This is you're calling for a public hearing next month on a planning board and planning director's recommendation to add a more clarification in the current code on guest suites and guest kitchens. We've had that requirement in the zoning code. Although the planner as well as the planning board felt there needed to be more specific details for them to implement the plan, and that's what this does.
Does this mean attached to the residence, or does this mean non-attached?
It can be both.
Either or, okay.
Yep. So when a proposal comes into the town for a guest suite, the criteria in the past was ambiguous at best, and it was difficult to administer. This clarifies that, and the planning board did review it in depth. They had 2 meetings on it, and what's before you is their recommendation.
So is this short-term rentals or long-term rentals or both?
Well, it really doesn't differentiate between rental or not. It's if you build a home or a house, single-family home, and you wish to have a guest suite or guest kitchen, this gives further criteria on how to administer that.
If there is to be a short-term rental, only one of the two could function as a short-term rental or a vacation rental.
Okay.
Under the proposed ordinance.
Okay, and then my last question on it was, when it talked about the bear bins, if the house has a guest suite, not a rental, but a guest suite, and is grandfathered in on the bear bin issue, is this making them purchase a bear bin?
If it's pre-existing under this ordinance would not require a pre-existing one to acquire a bear bin. However, I believe under our solid waste ordinance, we do require those separately. So as a zoning matter, we don't require that because those are grandfathered, but the solid waste regulations do apply for updating the bear bins.
Okay. That was it.
Any other questions? Take a vote on item 7.2. All in favor?
Aye.
7.2 passes. Item 7.3. I need a motion to call for a public hearing on proposed amendments to off-street parking and loading.
Motion.
Need a second?
Second.
Chief, will you explain this, please?
Again, Mayor and Council, this is to strengthen the code for commercial, off-street parking and loading zones. But this is adopting a standard that's used throughout the state. It's the Transportation Engineers, Institute of Transportation Engineers standard. It gives the zoning official an ability to have a standard that he can refer to, as opposed to doing it what he thinks is best. This again went through the planning board, and they're recommending approval. This is to call for a public hearing. This is not, you're not approving the language.
Just approving the public hearing.
Yep.
Any discussion? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Same sign, opposed, same sign. Item 7.3 passes. I need a motion to open item 7.4, which is Beach Mountain Parkway.
Motion.
Second. All right. So, and I'll make a comment, and then maybe I'll turn it over to Chief Budney. Some of you may or may not be aware that Eagles Nest has paved half of Beach Mountain Parkway from the back gate to the city limit sign. And I think it's gonna be paved in October. We've had some that have definitely been in favor of it, and we have some that have been opposed to it. You know, I'm not gonna say whether I'm for it or against it yet, because I wanna get more details. And actually, I'd like to give, if it's okay with you guys, if we do move forward with this, give Chief Budney direction to meet with TDA and have them fund this project, if that's the direction that we're going in. But in terms of, I remember when I was on the board at Beach Mountain Club, and I wanted to open up Eagles Nest to the club without them having to purchase property on Beach Mountain, you know, the NPOs. And, you know, that got voted down 1-4, and I was obviously the one kind of used to that for a while. But, so I was playing golf with some of the board members a few years ago, and they said, "Wagner, that was a great idea. You were just behind your time." And I said, no, they said you were ahead of your time. And I said, no, you guys were behind your time. And I think it's, from a tourist standpoint, economic development standpoint, it was a great idea. And, you know, my personal opinion is that if we pave the road, and we finish paving the road, that it's going to boost economic and tourism with Beach Mountain. The same with what we did Buckeye Creek Road. You know, for years and years, we tried to pave that, and it was cost prohibitive, but Chief Budney was able to work his magic. And, you know, this is a subjective comment, but when I look at the traffic that comes in on, and I use Buckeye Creek Road quite a bit, the traffic has quadrupled coming in, bless you. The traffic is quadrupled coming in from Buckeye Creek Road. Now, how do you put a number on that? You know, it's subjective. I just know that traffic has increased tremendously. And, you know, TDA was supposed to pay for that, and for whatever reason they didn't. Town paid, taxpayers paid for it. But if we move forward with this project, I think it'll be a economic boost to the town, and we need to ask TDA to fund this project. So, and then there was a comment made about Robbie's trucks going 20, 30 miles an hour, and that's just not, his trucks can't go that fast. So, anyhow, so that's, any comments?
Yeah, so I asked us to go ahead and go under new business because we did discuss it kind of during the closing comments last month's meeting. And I thought we were going to move forward with this and hear some numbers and get some additional some data from it. I have heard from about a 50-50 right now on pave it, don't pave it. And I really do think that, as was mentioned during public comments, that maybe we do need to hold a public hearing on it and listen to the folks out there that own property on that road as to what they would like to see done with the road. Because for me, it doesn't affect me either way, because I've driven down that road one time since I've lived here. Well, since 2008 when I've been here on ski patrol. So I wanted to just kind of help move this forward, knowing that October is when the paving's supposed to take place, and if this is something that the town's going to pursue doing, I'm certain that there is some type of cost savings in getting on board and doing it at the same time as Eagles Nest versus coming back next year and doing it, because now they got to bring all their equipment back. They're not set up to, one job is one job, right? Versus what that extra overhead would cost us. So there you go.
My position is, I'm in favor of it. There's a couple of considerations that, as a board, we need to look at. One is, and Chief, tell me if I'm wrong, the fire department is responsible for certain emergency services in Eagles Nest. Is that correct?
No, that's not. We have a mutual aid agreement, but we don't respond as a first alarm.
Okay. All these people telling me this, but anyway, that's good to know. The other thing is that I think there's a great economic benefit to the town for opening up better access. We've had access now for 2-3 years, but I think a better access, a more proper access, I think will benefit the town. The club, the Beach Mountain Club, has greatly benefited from the number of property owners in Eagles Nest that have joined the club and are spending money at the club. And I think that's a great benefit. I also think, when we had the debacle back in Martin Luther King Day last year, or this year, it will also give us another way off the mountain. It's not the easiest way to get off the mountain, but in certain cases, at least to get to the Banner Elk side of the mountain, it is another way to get off the mountain rather than Buckeye Creek. In an emergency, you can get the gate open. But I mean, and those are things that would have to be worked out with Eagles Nest. But I mean, I think that's a great benefit. Those that were here during that time on February last year, it was a debacle here. And anything we can do to help relieve that situation in the future, I think we should look at. I am in favor of opening up to a public comment, whenever it is. I think Chief would be able to better qualify whether there's cost savings or not. I would think there would be, but have you talked to Moritz at all since?
Yes.
What's the latest and greatest?
They can't pave it along with that Eagles Nest piece due to scheduling, but we did receive a quote. You directed me to get some numbers. We've got a quote on what that will cost. It's $350,000 for about 3,200 feet of road and base. So it would, at the earliest it could be paved would be the spring.
And the construction, because of the heavy trucks that we've discussed before, would be based on what we have on Buckeye Creek Road, essentially, or would there be any other considerations with that?
The spec we asked for was a 3-inch, 2-layer lift binder, first 1.5 inches of binder, and then a 1.5 inches of, they call it surface, and that's a DOT standard.
The 350, does that include any culverting or?
It does not.
It does not, so there would have to be additional cost for putting some culverts in there and.
We would replace any culverts that were failing that we wanted to replace before we paved. We didn't look at that, and I'm not aware of what that would be, if any.
Because there are some wet spots in that area that needs culverts. So we'd have to look at that. So anyway, I would be in favor of it as far as, but I do believe we should open up to public comment.
Yeah, so I think maybe at the next meeting, You know, we mentioned this last meeting, and now we've gotten some feedback from some of the folks attending our meeting. And unless I'm not doing this in the proper manner it needs to go, if you can reach out to TDA and get a pulse from them, and then we bring this up again at the next meeting under public comments.
Do you want their pulse, or do you want me to request $350,000? We have no money budgeted in the budget currently for this project.
Mr. Mayor, the TDA would have to find that this is tourism-related infrastructure as part of their approval, and only 1/3 of their budget can go towards
Correct.
infrastructure.
So would you not consider it as tourism?
Yes, sir, as long as it can be shown to promote a tourism component of the town, but that is a finding that the TDA itself would have to make as a factual basis.
So I don't know if we can use this as an example, but I know that there's been, since we opened it up with the NPOs, the amount of property owners from Eagles Nest that have joined the club. And I don't know if there's any correlation with that or not, but I certainly think that it would play into it.
Definitely.
So
I have 3 or 4.
it's up to you guys if you want to ask Chief Budney to go to TDA, or if you want to have delay this 30 days and have it under public comments.
My opinion, I think we should go to TDA, make the request, and then when we have our public hearing, we'll know where the funding's to come from.
I'm in favor of that.
Yeah. As far as maintenance goes, if that road were paved, town of Beech Mountain would go from Beech Mountain Parkway to the gate of Eagles Nest?
No,
or
we would maintain to the town limit sign.
town limits?
Right.
Okay. And are we back in the situation we had going up to Oz, where 2 different types of equipment during snow removal would have to go back there if it's gravel versus paved?
No, gravel, we don't salt. Pavement, we do. Pavement is easier to treat and maintain in the wintertime. It's same equipment, we'd use a sand truck as we do now. One of the problems we have now in the winter, and it's going to be, the same, is we've got a piece of pavement that the property owners paid for, transitions to gravel. And so the same salt truck can't salt the pavement and then go down the gravel road.
Okay.
On another note, can you have Beech Mountain Police set up their radar on Beech Mountain Parkway and or monitor that and see what the average speed limits are?
Yes. Would you like a report?
They can sit in our driveway.
I'm sorry,
Would you like?
however you want to do it.
Okay.
Just so you
Well, they're there quite often. We have historical data. Do you want to send them out again?
Yes, because it used to be, I think it was 2 years ago, maybe when the study was done, that the average speed was 18 miles an hour.
No, actually, they were out last 2 weeks ago.
Okay?
But,
And was there an average speed?
I don't know.
Okay, but if we could do that and then report that back
Sure.
whenever you have that information.
Got it.
Would it be beneficial to know how much traffic we're getting, like we did up at the convenience center, just to count, how many cars are going back and forth over a period of time? Is that?
It's doable.
And what would it benefit the information that we need is the
That
question.
doesn't hurt to have that information.
It is somewhat
That's not a cost, really, is it?
No, there's some labor, but it is kind of difficult to use the tube on a gravel road. We'll have to relocate one of the radar counters.
Okay.
So I'll have to check on that.
All right, so I need a vote to accept item 7.4.
Yep, motion?
All right, we already have a
We
motion.
did that? Okay.
Mr. Mayor, this would be a motion to call for a public hearing at the October meeting, is that
We're
correct?
going to do public comments, not a public hearing.
All right.
Public comments at the next council meeting.
What's the difference?
Why don't we just do a public hearing and tack it on with the other two?
So, as by way of definition, public comments are required as a general matter for each meeting. So you are required to have a public comment session, but it's not limited to a specific item. Public hearings are required for zoning matters, but there is no restriction of the council limiting public hearings to zoning matters. So you could have a public hearing on this to hear input from the public, and a public hearing would be restricted just to this topic, as opposed to public comment, which would be any comment that someone wishes to make to you.
So we'd have to have a separate meeting to have a public hearing.
Or just a separate agenda item for your public hearing.
Okay.
If you wish to have it segregated out.
What does
for your
council
general
want to do? You
public
want to have a hearing or public comment?
I think a public hearing,
Okay.
make it a live, you know, an agenda item,
Just make that
All right.
a
and
motion.
that's all
Yes,
to
sir.
be
Let's
discussed.
use the motion.
So could I make the motion here for you to we'll clear this up?
Absolutely.
So a motion to hold a public hearing on, October 8th, 4 o'clock, to hear from town residents regarding the paving of Beach Mountain Parkway from the town limits to the existing paving.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Item 7.4 passes.
You get that, Emily?
Chief, you're up, and then also if you'll also mention the discussion that we had on the SNR officer. If you want to touch bases on that, or leave it alone.
On what?
SNR officer. Search and rescue?
Oh, yes. You got me with it. Yes. Well, thank you, Mayor and Council. The financial report is included. We won't go through it in detail because there's very little detail there as we're only 8% into the budget. But again, we're within our level of expenditures. You should know we've been receiving a lot of calls from our taxpayers. The Watauga County Tax Office has been unable to give us a usable tax scroll, and they are currently working to solve the problem on their end. Other towns in Watauga County have the same issue. So our tax bills have not gone out on the Watauga side for that reason. Projects, I want to update you on a number of projects. Ski Loft Road, paving is underway this week with about a 10-day completion based on the weather. We've got some heavy rain projected for Friday and Saturday. All the utilities are complete, and we're currently putting together a briefing memo for the property owners on suggestions on how to get their properties back up and running, get the water on and check the voltage at the electric, get the main meter or main disconnect on. So that project is about 2 weeks ahead of schedule. The contractor has met all his milestones, in fact exceeded those, so there's some bonus dollars that he earned, or they earned, and we expect to get everybody in the road open here shortly. The utility project on Greenbrier, it's progressing as planned. You know, there's not a whole lot to say. There's a lot of pipe being put in, fire hydrants, a lot of digging. It's a mess down there. But that contractor tells me that they will work until weather tells them that they can't. So they're projecting into December. The Town Hall Visitor Center, it's moving towards completion. They're in finishes and final paving underway. We've got the first layer of pavement out there now. The second layer will come towards the end of the month. All major systems are up and running, and I would project that we're at about 95% completion. Lake Coffee. Met with the Beach Mountain Club to go over the project as it relates to their irrigation. Had a good meeting. They are not concerned at all. They have plans to transition their main irrigation off-site from Coffee, but we're still implementing a movement of their facilities to keep that in place. Our force main from the new reservoir to the water plant will transition across the golf course, and I sent them a note asking permission to get easements to run that force main through the golf course. This is a project that the scope just continues to surprise me. We've done the initial estimate, and there are 10,000 truckloads of fill that has to be removed and taken off-site. That's 100,000 cubic yards. It didn't dawn on me how much that was until I was tasked to find a place to put it. Bless you. So we are in the process of planning for that. We talk about roads. Whatever roads we use with 10,000 truckloads of fill will have to be rebuilt and replaced after the project. So that is ongoing. And typical with this project, you get through 2 or 3 obstacles, a hurdle or two, and they throw another one at you. We are now required to do a bat study. The bats migrate from Grandfather Mountain over Lake Coffee down to Buckeye Creek in the area below Wild Daisy, and the wildlife officials have required a bat migration study, which will take 6 months. They have to come out in the wintertime and locate the potential bat living quarters.
Habitat.
And then they have to come back in the spring and identify and count the bats that actually transition. So I made it clear that the town would comply. We will do the study. They call it a biological analysis. They always have interesting terms. It's a bat study. But I also made it clear that the answer can't be you cannot do the project. So whatever they come up with, mitigation-wise or whatever, that has to be on the table. The project has to go forward regardless of the bat migration. So I'll keep you informed on that. We'll be moving forward, and I'll bring it back to you. There'll be some expenditures that you'll have to approve. Traffic counters. The TDA did fund, and we purchased, and they've been installed 2 radar-operated traffic counters, one at the front of the town, one at the back. They're operating. I pulled I wanted to know, Oz weekend, and I don't know if this is a lot of vehicles to you, but it is to me, 21,000 vehicles past Town Hall on Oz weekend.
3 days.
So no wonder I had a problem last winter. So anyways, we're tweaking that system. It's run through the planning department. Preston Yates, our planner, is running that system for us. And it provides a ton of information, and we're tweaking that to see, we can count both directions, the coming and the going, and it gives us a length of the vehicle, and we can do some analysis there. But 21,000 vehicles on Oz weekend past Town Hall. Along the same lines, you approved and TDA funded a traffic study to begin this holiday around Thanksgiving, go through the winter. This is in response to the problems we had. The focus of that study is to identify possible solutions to our single 2-lane road and tens of thousands of vehicles. So that RFP has gone out. Preston Yates has that in-house, and we'll be bringing it to you to approve. But that study, we should expect to have a report early next spring. Along the same lines, I'd like to offer to you an idea. I'd like to do a comprehensive strategic plan of the town's commercial corridor. It starts from the town limits and goes down to the resort. And this was prompted by our discussion on what to do with the piece of property by the parking lot that we had an offer to sell, as well as the old Public Works building. And you denied that, and you told me to go back and look at a bigger, let's not piecemeal things, if you recall that discussion, but look at a bigger strategic plan. So I sat down with Kate, and we've been working on that, and we've interviewed 3 planners that do this type of work, and we actually would like to make it a little larger, the corridor, which is 1.5 miles long, but we'd also like to include some of the private property that's undeveloped along that side, that corridor, and come up with a strategic plan on what's the best use of that going forward, maybe the next 5, 10, 15, 20 years. This may be a plan that has a lot of pretty pictures and you can't implement, but short of that, we're gonna piecemeal. And we're gonna put, you know, you're gonna have someone come in with an opportunity, you're going to approve it or not, but eventually you're going to have a piecemeal. And I don't think that's best for the town. So I'd like permission to go out for an RFP, request for proposals. I don't have a cost. Usually they're in the $30,000 to $40,000 range, but I don't know. But I didn't want to put that out on the street without talking to you about it, because we went from don't sell that piece of property because we want to see what's the best use, to me bringing you I want to do a plan of the whole corridor. So I don't need an answer today, but I want to put that out there. I'd like to start that project and see where that leads us, and at least get a cost factor on it and see what kind of deliverables we can get.
I mean, you want anything from us? I mean, I'd be in favor of moving forward with that. Does anybody have objections to doing that?
That'd be moved. Well, I agree. I just like to have a cost before we pull the trigger. Yeah, give him the green light to.
Well, what I want to do is, well, if you don't like the idea, we'll stop.
I think it's a
like
good
the idea.
idea.
But I can't bring you a dollar figure because we haven't gone out with an RFP. I'd like to do that fairly soon, and come back to you in a month or two with a cost, and see what you think.
I'm in favor of it.
That way I'll have some deliverables from a planning firm that could, you know, how they see it and what they can deliver to the town. But sometimes, you know, you can spend money on plans that never get implemented. And what I don't want to do is just go through the exercise of a bunch of pretty pictures. But I think if we're going to talk about selling property, town property, to the business community, we should have a plan.
I agree.
Are there any updates with the old Public Works facility?
No.
Okay.
Kind of.
All right.
You budgeted $160,000 for us to relocate or put in a satellite salt building. And in that conversation, we talked about moving the Public Works facility, the old facility, moving those buildings, getting them out of there, making that, you know, commercial property. That is underway, that finding a site, and we're gonna talk about that later. But there's been no movement on doing anything with those buildings until we figure out where and how we're gonna do it.
Okay. Thank you.
Next thing, the town's been gifted a search and rescue scent dog, a canine. It's young at this point, for use at the town's discretion. It's a $10,000 dog that's been given to us. What I'd like to do, because this is in my opinion a substantial policy change in the town, to have a canine in the police department. I'd like to move forward and bring to you a proposal that encompasses not only the cost, but the policy on a scent dog and what it does. You know, it's search and rescue. It does drugs. It's not a bite dog. But bring you a proposal, because one, I've got to go through legal. There's obviously some substantial issues there, insurance, costs, things like that. But I don't want to pursue that if the council doesn't want us to go in that direction. So again, kind of, do you want me to stop? Do you want me to continue? What's your purview?
I would think continue.
I think that'd be an asset to the town.
I'm in favor of it.
And the outline then would be who takes care of the dog, where it all basic needs and stuff like that?
Yeah, we put together, we have a preliminary proposal. The chief has brought it to me. It would be a canine assigned to a police officer. Those are the easy things. The difficult things are setting policy on how it's used, when it's used, the legal issues. Town attorney will have to be intimately involved in putting that together. There'll have to be an agreement between the handler and the town. It's a town asset. There's insurance issues that have to be, you know, considered, and budget. We got a dog given to us, and I went, well, wait a minute. You know, we literally have it's not a cart before the horse, it's a dog before the horse, or the cart, but didn't want to give it back without talking to you first. Am I gonna move forward?
You guys in
Yeah,
favor?
go for it.
Okay.
All right.
All right, next thing I've got, farmer's market number 4. It's in the books, went very well. The apples you have on your desk are from the market, thanks to Sandy Carr. I will report, before he does in his comments, that the town council beat the fire department in the cornhole challenge, so congratulations. We put our best team out there and they got beat. The next market is October 4th. That's our last one of the year. We'll have live music. There'll be, I'm told, 35 types of local apples there. Free apple cider as long as it lasts, and of course a lot of pumpkins. This report comes from Sandy Carr, who I need to acknowledge for the last 4 this year farmers markets. They've just been off the charts. I know a lot of you have been there, but it's been off the charts. Well attended, a lot of vendors. She's done an excellent job, so I wanted to thank her publicly. But put that on your agenda for October 4th. Fred brought it up, the fellowship feast or the potluck dinner on the 26th at 5:30. I put a flyer on your dais. I'd like you all to attend. Bring something good to eat. I like desserts and I like ice cream. The last thing I've got is going to take a little bit of time. I want to discuss a recent EMS call that everything worked well and you need to know about it. So we had a patient that suffered a witness cardiac arrest, which means that they weren't found unconscious. They were witnessed to have a cardiac arrest. And the system that we have on Beach Mountain was implemented and worked, I won't say flawlessly, but extremely well. And this patient is alive today because of this. So this patient I want you to understand, had no heartbeat, was not breathing. Whatever your definition of death is, met my definition. So the family called 911, and it should be noted that it wasn't answered somewhere else. It was answered here in Beach Mountain. And our dispatcher, who's trained in emergency medical dispatch, took the call, got it dispatched. She's local. She knows how we work. She knows where the call is. And then she began giving life-saving instructions over the phone while we responded. That's important to note that system started there, locally here. You pay, you fund, the taxpayers fund that dispatch center. And a lot of times in budget, I have to defend the dispatch cost. It worked this time. So the fire department was dispatched, our ambulance was dispatched, we got there, AED was applied, a shock given to the patient, total of 6 shocks, which is unusual. The ambulance that you fund at almost $500,000 a year responded and provided advanced life support, which is using cardiac drugs, IV. Patient had 3 IVs established. One was IO, which means we drill a hole into their bone. Airway was established. Patient was put on our Lucas 3 machine, which is our CPR machine. That machine was funded by the Mountain Ambulance and Healthcare Foundation, Dr. Roy Miller.
Was that the machine, or was that the?
It is, that we demonstrate. So that machine does continuous CPR better than any human can do it. I've used it a number of times and I'm amazed at how the patient responds while we have the CPR, the Lucas machine on. So we called for a helicopter. Weather was good. Things are all falling into place. We called for a helicopter, had a landing zone put up. That ambulance, driven by Tim Holland, drove the ambulance with the paramedics in the back providing care to the landing zone, loaded the patient into the helicopter, flew them to Johnson City Medical Center, and he was resuscitated. He's having a tough time. I shouldn't say he, the patient, but he's opened his eyes, and last I checked, he was still on a ventilator. But in my book, that is a cardiac save. None of that would have happened without the dollars that you approve in our budget. If we didn't have that ambulance here, the time delay from Banner Elk to here, patient wouldn't have survived. And if you recall, that ambulance was put in place by an initial seed grant of $100,000 by the Mountain Ambulance Foundation. And then you funded that. The previous council put it in place, and then you've continued to fund that. I'll ask you this, if I was to, and I haven't spoken to the family, if I was asked the family, who are a taxpayer here, what the value of that expenditure in our budget is, I'm sure they could find other things that they could cut out of the budget. They wouldn't cut that ambulance out of the budget. And I'll leave you with this. Dr. Miller has said more than once, he goes, remember, the life we save may be yours. So I just want to give you a success story of the system, from the dispatcher that we fund, to the training, to the response, to the ambulance, to the helicopter. The patient survived. So my hat's off to everybody that was there. More importantly, I want you to know that when you sit up here and approve a budget, you really don't know what you're going to get. We get a lot of grass seed, we get a lot of plants and flowers, we get pavement, we get water pipes, we get all those good things. Saved a life. So I want you to know that.
But what is the timeline from the call to the ambulance ride? How long was that?
8 minutes.
Really?
It's pretty impressive.
I mean, you almost got me on Grassy Gap, and then
Was that
the
you?
ambulance almost got me.
Was that you that was in my way?
Yeah, it was.
No, the
But,
response time from the time of the phone call to the first AED shock was 8 minutes.
No, okay.
And that's how you save people's lives. You don't wait 45 minutes to an hour. So I just want to let you know, we had one of those. We have a lot of those, by the way, in the town, not that severe, that the money that you have appropriated, that the town taxpayers pay, have made a huge difference, so.
And Mr. Miller, Dr. Miller, thank you.
I think you want to know, every minute delay in initiating care, you lose 10%. 5 minutes, 50%. So, thank you, gentlemen, for the money. We taxpayers are really happy to give it to you.
Thank you for your help on this. You know, if I'm not mistaken, we had some pushback from an individual several years ago on the ambulance. That ambulance saved their life. So they went from being a opponent to proponent.
Correct.
Yeah.
And I'd just like to add that I have been in contact with the family. They've been contacting me on the status, but they are highly appreciative and just said all the actions saved his life. I'm sorry.
The patients.
The patient's life, but.
Well, that's a good story.
Yep. Thank you, Chief. You finished?
Yep.
All right. Town council comments. Stafford?
Starting the other side.
Starting the other side.
Confused, I think.
Well, I want to tag on to what you just said about cardiac arrest and being the paramedic in the room. You know, the number one thing that everybody in this room can do is learn CPR, right? Like the doctor said, getting compression started on a patient in cardiac arrest is the number one thing you can do to save a life. The sooner, the better. So if you don't know how to do CPR, you can even go online now and learn how to do hands-only CPR through a number of sites. So take the time, learn how to do CPR. The other thing I just want to mention is that I'm going to be on a health kick today. It's that time of year that respiratory illness outbreaks happen. Vaccinations are proven to reduce morbidity, and if whatever side of the fence you're on, get vaccinated. Now's the time to think about it. They're available, and get it done. And that's all I've got.
Can I ask Emily, do we have a vaccination clinic date yet? We'll have an October vaccination clinic for the public here in October, and we'll get that out.
Or isn't the town, the club also do it? Didn't they do
They usually do it the same day.
together?
Yes.
Okay.
Alan?
Just again, kudos to our fire and rescue and our first responders, they were there, and that's highly appreciated. And the town's doing a great job, the town looks great. I've had a lot of comments saying, hey, the parkway looks good. The grass is growing on the side. of the road.
Yeah.
So kudos to the manager and all the employees that get the job done for us. Thank you.
Art?
You know, I've got to jump on the bandwagon, you know, Chief, that was a great story. I'm actually surprised that the fire department was up to the task after being defeated so soundly in the cornhole. Actually, it was a great match. It was who could lose.
Vice Mayor?
So, but it was a lot of fun, and I encourage people to come out to the farmers market. It was great fellowship, and it was a good time, and you know, I highly recommend it. And again, our fire rescue, I think, is second to none, and I know Chief, I know Stanford puts a lot of time into it, and this town certainly does appreciate it.
Thank you.
Vice Mayor?
Everything has already been said, so ditto. Just a reminder that Autumn at Oz is the next 2 weekends. There's your heads up. Friday, Saturday, Sunday. It's going to be busy. The Historical Society has an entire Oz exhibit, so if you have anybody visiting, send them over there, and it's got the original costumes and that kind of good stuff. Our calendars are out. They're $5 donation each at the museum, and all the pictures are taken by locals. So, great little piece to put up in your homes. That's it for me.
You know, the landscape, not from a flower standpoint, but just the landscaping in general, scope of landscaping on Beech Mountain is changing. When you look at where Beech Mountain was 5 years ago, 10 years ago, you look at it today, you look at the infrastructure projects that we have in place that weren't addressed in the past for whatever reason. When you look at, as Alan said, the shoulder of the road, you know, we've had gravel on the side of the road for years and years, and now we finally got this done properly, and they laid topsoil down, and we got grass growing, and they've been watering. Yeah, it's the little things, and the little things that add up, and you know, you're starting to see a pop all over the mountain. I don't know, I'm sure you guys have noticed the flowers that are on the telephone poles. It just makes Beech Mountain look nicer. Someone mentioned Matt Stokes. Regardless of what the weather is going, rain or shine, snow, Matt's out there making Beech Mountain look nicer. So that's hats off to him. You know, we hired a new police officer, Eli. He was recognized last council meeting, and I think as Fred stated that he waved at the cops, and the police know who he is, and they waved back. I think we have a really good police force that represents Beech Mountain well. Also, I don't know exactly what the award is, but Talia Freeman has received a award for her dedication to Watauga County. There's a function for her and several other people Thursday night. She's being recognized by the chamber. So if you see Talia Freeman, congratulate her for the award that she's receiving. Thank you for everyone that attended the meeting today, and if you have any questions or concerns, please reach out to your council and/or reach out to our town manager. We're available, and we're here to work for you guys. My last comment is, you know, from where we are today, getting recognition from our local, state, and federal officials. I had the opportunity several weeks ago to attend a function in Wilmington and met Congressman David Rouser. And ironically, at the bottom of the mountain, his great-grandfather built that home. So I said a few words at this function and had a lot of people come up to me. They went to Lisa McCray, had descendants from Banner Elk, Senator or Congressman Rouser with his association. And as you guys are aware, we're having a function at our house October the 5th. And I think it's important for us, there's more work that we can do and that we are doing that's outside Beech Mountain city limits. Chief Buddy and I, we go to the mayor's meeting, we go to the economic development committees, the committee meetings. And, initially in the past, we didn't get involved with communities outside of Beach Mountain. And it has been a benefit to the town because some of the things other towns are doing that have been successful has given us ideas of what we can change to make Beach Mountain better. And we're working together. There's a lot of horsepower in this room. And it's it's having a positive impact on Beach Mountain. So I hope we continue working on these partnerships with our neighbors. And this, again, it's a benefit to our town. Other than that, anyone else have any comments? All right, I need to make a motion, I'm not sure if I'm wording this correctly, to go into our closed session meeting.
Yes, sir. This will be a closed session for attorney-client matters under 143-318.11A3, which would include the following cases of the Town of Beach Mountain versus Goldstein, the Town of Beach Mountain versus Wonders, the Town of Beach Mountain versus Rigsby, and I would ask that you add the Town of Beach Mountain versus Montgomery and Cannon to that list.
Okay,
Motion?
all right. Thank you for attending the meeting. Thanks, Mike.
Oh, okay, that's right.
All right, I'd like to call the meeting back to order and reopen it from our closed session. For
Yes, sir. Mr. Mayor, following closed session, I just need to report that yesterday the court entered judgment in the ski-off matter of Beach Mountain versus Montgomery and Cannon in the amount of the deposit by the town. There was not an answer filed by them, and the court entered a final judgment in that matter.
Excellent.
Okay. I need a motion to adjourn the meeting.
Motion.
Second.
All right.
Thank you.
Thank you.